Hey folks, here we are again on day 5 of the Idea Explosion Challenge. So, today we have the preset splurge, which what does it do? It kind of it makes things somewhat difficult in certain senses, but then when you get past a certain point, it does actually make things easier in many ways. And if you're doing the preset splurge and wondering why on earth you're doing it, and I don't like to use presets and presets are bad and all that kind of stuff, this isn't a suggestion that you use presets. If you're into designing all your own sounds, this isn't to suggest that I'm not suggesting that you stop doing that forever or anything. I'm giving you this particular form of splurge in order to hey Bundy, I'm giving you this particular form of splurge in order to train you on a particular muscle in your creative process that you may well not have used much until now. Okay, and if you've not watched the video yet, I'm not going to tell you what it is exactly, because I tell you on day 7. Okay. Hey Eric. Hey Alex. So, how's the splurging going? How many did you do yesterday? Why don't you tell me that in the comments? And here you can see my template is different. Okay, so hello Gerald. Okay, so 808 Omnisphere, Lion, and Diva, as usual. Hi Pete. Pete, you like the preset splurge? Oh, good. Dodo, hello. Gerald did 1. How about you try and do 2 tomorrow? 4 from Alex yesterday. Well done. 4 today. Let's see if you can do 6 tomorrow, Alex. Bundy did 1. Let's see if you can do 2 tomorrow. Eric, let's see if you can do more than 1. Let's see if you can do 2. You saw me doing 2 yesterday. Were they any good? Nah. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to start with, okay, so, audio, I did 4. Okay, let's see if you can do 6 tomorrow. Louis, 3. I'm going to give you a really hard challenge. Let's see if you can do 6. Come on. Manuel, really powerful, this preset splurge. Yes, indeed. Okay, so do I have a commitment to everybody that they are going to do what I've just asked them to do? Bart, 5. All right, I'm going to give you a really hard challenge, Bart, because you're one of my masterminders and I know you can do it. I want you to do 10 tomorrow. Okay, Samuel, 5 yesterday, 3 today. What challenge am I going to give you? All right, I want you to do 7 tomorrow. All right? Hey, Laurie, how many did you do yesterday? Or just today, in your last day that you've done? Oh. Okay, Bart's accepted the challenge. Gerald's accepted the challenge. How about everyone else? Okay, Mikhail, today I was off, so 0. Well, I'm sorry about that. If you've done 0, then what I would probably do is just tell yourself to do 1 short one the next day, okay? But if you've kind of been maintaining a certain practice, see if you can turn it up. Okay, Samuel says okay. Louis says will do. Chris did 6. Okay, Chris. Here's the challenge. I want you to do 10 tomorrow. Do you reckon you can do that? Paul, just 1. All right. 2 tomorrow. Right. And also, if I've asked you to do a number and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do that, yeah, let me know in the comments what the reason is. All right, 5 tomorrow, Mikhail. So 5, he did 0 yesterday. You can do 5 tomorrow, but what I would suggest, if you didn't do any on a day, reduce the number to 1. Yeah, as your win. You can kind of have in the back of your mind. I mean, Mikhail, you're in the loop and you've done lots and lots of my training, so I think it would be okay for you to do 5. If you're kind of fairly new to this and you do 0, so advice is different. You know, this is one of the problems with being somebody who makes videos, is that often advice has to be very situational. And I know that Mikhail can do 5 tomorrow because I know Mikhail relatively well. But if for most people, so I'm saying, yeah, okay, go for 5. If most people have done 1, then I would say just go for 0. Then I would say just go for 1. Okay, Manuel, you made 4. All right, go for 7 today. All right. So Laurie did 2 yesterday. All right, let's see if you can do 4 tomorrow. You up for that? Brilliant. Chris is going for 10. Yeah, so if you're wondering like if I've just given you a challenge to either double or just increase the number that you did the day before, what is the reason that you're thinking, oh, if you are thinking this, oh, I can't do that, okay? So Gerald's saying the reason it takes longer is I still get hung up on what synth to use and then what preset. So you're deciding what synth to use beforehand. So you're not doing that in the splurge. I mean, like if you want, just go from the top to the bottom. So you've decided beforehand, go from the top just to the bottom of the list. Yep. There's like, I don't, what is there to get hung up on? This is a splurge. There's no downside to you making something that doesn't work. There's no downside to you making the wrong decision. I mean, that is actually true in reality as well. Okay. So, and then what preset? Hang on a minute. Are you doing the preset splurge, Gerald? It's a random choice. Watch. Okay. If you're hung up on if you are doing the preset splurge, and apologies if you're not. If you are doing the preset splurge and you're getting hung up on what preset to use, then you're not doing the preset splurge. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with this, and I've only used this once. You would have seen me using it in the demo if you have watched the demo. I didn't even know I had this plugin, right? So I've got no idea about it at all. So I'm just going to go randomly to this. Okay, so I didn't even think. The reason that took me longer than half a minute. The reason that took me longer than half a. This is another one of these that goes on forever. Hang on. The reason that took me longer was because I couldn't remember the one I selected in the demo, and I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't want to use the same one because I knew it went on forever. Now this one seems to be going on forever as well. Okay, I'm just wondering if that helps. No. Why is it continuing forever? Oh, there we go. It's better. Okay, right. So it's that. It's that. I'll turn that off. Yeah, because it's going to be really annoying doing live stream, trying to talk while there's this noise going on forever and ever. Okay, which is what I want to avoid. So usually I wouldn't do that, right? So I've just randomly selected this. Do I have to like the sound? Gerald, are you watching the videos? Like, you can't have watched my video. You can't have done it. If you're asking that question, there's no way that you can watch my video, because it's a random choice. You go with the sound no matter what. Yep. So when I know that life is extremely distracting and stressful at the moment, so I am understanding that. But make sure you watch the video, even if it means taking a piece of paper and a pen and making notes as I'm saying the stuff. No, you are going with the first sound. Yeah, that. But yeah, so now I get it, right? But what is interesting is that you're getting it when I'm saying it to you, but I've already said it to you. Okay, so really, really important that you watch the videos, and because I say it very, very clearly, you're going with, okay, fair enough. You've been very stressed today. Fair enough. Okay, I'm sorry. So it's very, very tricky. It's very, very tricky right now. I understand. So just accepting that. So with the preset splurge, you just go with the first sound that comes up. Okay. So maybe in your case, as you're in a very stressful situation, keep it to one. Okay. Be kind to yourself. These are difficult times for very many people, and I totally understand that. And the point of this isn't to stress you out. The point of this is actually to help. Okay. So it's all right. Yeah. But next time you're watching the videos, just try and note them down. I think we do have to, this is an opportunity. Situations like this are an opportunity for us to develop the ability to be, and of course I have no idea what happened in your house or anything, so that, I'm not saying that I go through life in my house with my 4 little boys and everything else, and dog, all who have to stay inside, go through life like some kind of, or anything. I'm all over the place too, a lot of the time. But we want to try and take every opportunity to maintain our equanimity through most situations. So, I don't know anything about Lion myself, Lucas. And by the way, I'm worried about what you just said, Lucas. Hello, Maurice. But I got Arturia pigments on a sale in the end to fill that space in my arsenal. Now, that might be okay, an okay thing to say, depending on what your arsenal means. So if your arsenal means very specific instruments for very specific purposes, and it doesn't mean your arsenal has to have every type of thing. If by arsenal you're saying I need every type of weapon there is, then I would ask you to seriously question that. Yep. So I need a subtractive VST. I need I don't know what you'd call this. I mean, I don't know, but I need something like this. And then I also need something like this. I need something like this. I need something like that. And I need something like, I literally need every kind of thing that there is. Please avoid that thinking. Yeah. If by arsenal you mean I am building a specific setup, which it's almost like I'm discovering the setup which will best express my unique voice, i.e. that means a minimum of different kinds of things, then okay. Yeah. But if you're thinking your arsenal has to mean I need one of everything, because then that will make things better, I would question that, right? And the only reason, usually I wouldn't use Lion. The only reason I'm using it is because of a kind of demonstration purposes, because I've got no idea. I've never used this before in my life, apart from the demo video in the course. So I don't know what it's like. So it's the most kind of clean version of the preset splurge, and also it's the most presetty of the preset splurge. Yeah, and also the other reason I'm using it is because if you do get a new bit of gear which has presets, then actually the preset splurge is a really good way of learning about it, learning how to use it. Okay. So I wouldn't usually choose this sound at all. I would go past it. Making me think of kind of Steve Reich or something. Okay. Oh, good. Lucas is saying it's so easy to get stuck into thinking you need everything. Yeah, you specifically don't need everything. Yeah, you specifically don't want everything. You want certain things, and obviously there is an element of wanting to try a few things to see what you do need. I totally get that, right? But you're only doing that. That's a step on the path to deciding what the things are that you need, yeah, which is about removing. So as I said yesterday, I've got this, these, stroke this, it's kind of one but two things, yeah. I've got, I don't use this at the moment. I'm going to bring that back in just because, I mean, I'm going to try. And then I use an 808 909, an Omnisphere, and a Diva, and a piano. In this case, I've replaced the piano with a line because I kind of feel that like a piano is cheating a bit for the preset splurge, but I wouldn't usually use a line. Yeah. Yes. So there you go, Lucas. Gerald is giving you an example of the danger. I've got more synths and sounds than I could use in a lifetime. It's crippling me. So the thing to do there, Gerald, is choose which ones you're going to use. And get rid of, whether you sell them or whether you turn them off or whether you put them in the cupboard, get rid of the rest. Yeah, I had a mastermind client who, you know, he actually was he said, I'm addicted to buying and selling gear. You know, he was just in this constant loop of buying and selling things, and he just kept on doing it. And, you know, said it's a real problem. The first step in a mastermind was, it was almost like a kind of, I mean, not that I'm an expert on addiction by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, first step of the mastermind, of our mastermind coaching was actually, I think it was just before he joined the mastermind that we had a kind of a impromptu coaching session, and he, you know, and we basically got that under control, and it was a struggle for him, but you know, he got that under control. He, you know, we actually identified the ideal setup for him. That was one of the things that we did. And now he's making loads of music. He just released an album which got featured on Bandcamp, and he, you know, he's absolutely flying. I mean, he's releasing bunches of music all the time. I think it might even be a track every 2 weeks or something. I don't want to misspeak, but it's kind of, it's like that. And you know, we're talking about what he's going to do with all this music, yeah, because he got over that gear addiction and because he got rid of a lot of stuff. Okay, so let me do this. Hey, Sasha. Yeah. Okay. Let's just go with that for now. Yes, gas. We all have that problem. It's the music production industrial complex, as I call it. Look at that, terribly played. Oh, it's not so bad. It's just go like that. Just have a bit of. Oh, nice. So, if I'd have been not doing the preset splurge, and Gerald particularly, listen to this, if I'd have been not doing the preset splurge, I would have not picked that sound, which meant that I would have not, I wouldn't have played that part, yeah? And at this point, I'm like, oh, that part is giving me, I'm not saying it's a brilliant part or anything, I'm just saying, oh, that part is giving me some ideas, yeah, which I've not really explored before. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have gone with the sound I didn't like. Why is that? What am I using there? What muscle am I using? Oh yeah, that was right. It's a preset splurge, so I've got to twist the knobs, haven't I? Let's just do a bit of this. Let's see what happens. Right. Of course, the problem with twisting random knobs with a synth like this is often it means it won't make a sound. So I am, in this case, allowed, and remember, I only edited this sound here to stop it from just constantly playing, because that would have been nightmare for the live stream. Minimal editing as possible. So we're gonna, with this, I'm gonna try and go with something as quickly as I can. So there you go, you can't really hear anything. What I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to record it as I'm editing it. There you go, that's a very preset-y splurge. So Audio Diggers is asking, quantize is okay with the preset splurge? Yeah, I mean, quantize isn't really about the preset, right? And with this kind of part here, I mean, I tend to try not to quantize things generally. I didn't do a full quantize, but with this kind of part here, because it's very, very like that, just from experience, I know that if I don't, like, at some point I'd like to be able to be good enough at playing not to have to quantize anything at all, yeah? But I know that it can get very distracting if things are like that are really out, okay? So Craig is saying, it's very difficult to know when to switch hats from unrestricted creativity to editor mode. This day and age, the tech lets us switch whenever we want because we have so many tools at our disposal. So I can tell you when, Craig, in the splurge, I don't know whether you are doing the splurge challenge, but if you are doing the splurge challenge, don't switch to editor mode. That's that's the answer there. If you're not doing the splurge challenge, then yeah, I don't know. So, oh dear. Yeah, I mean, in a day and age, right, when we have whatever we want and there are so many tools at our disposal, do you know what that tells me? That tells me that I need to go further in the opposite direction to that reality than, it's like okay, these days, in this day and age, there is, you go into a McDonald's and you can have, at a very cheap price, relatively speaking, as much food as you want. Yeah. In that situation, my alarm bells in my head are going off and saying, okay, I need to limit the thing that this day and age is offering to me, because I know it's going to be bad. I mean, it's almost like a mental shortcut that I've got. Yeah. If there is all of this choice which I can consume, that is probably telling me I need to be even more watchful of not using those choices. Yeah. It's like I need to be more proactive about countering the downsides to that. Does that make sense? So, my approach with this thing is right. Use the minimum amount. Do as little editing as possible. Because at the end of the day, in terms of editing, yeah, what would happen if you tried to drive a car with your foot on the accelerator and the brake at the same time? You would go round in circles. Okay, you cannot create and edit at the same time. Yeah, so even though all of this stuff is out there to help us editing, that's meaningless. That is something that's telling me, okay, I've got to be careful of that, because it's very, very beguiling. Yeah, it's very, very enticing. It's like, go on, use me. I'm here. I will make your music sound amazing if you just buy me. Look, your favorite artist, they use that. Buy me and twiddle with me. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do that right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the tool that is actually making the music, that's making the choices. This one in here, the brain, yeah? And that involves saying no to most things. And instead, at the start of particularly at the start of the process, just creating, because you cannot, they are too, it's almost like you can't have a river flowing in two directions at the same time. Yeah? When you are creating, you are not in a position to edit what you are creating. It's a different mental process, and switching between the two all the time is just going to be exhausting and confusing. Yeah. When you're editing, you're not creating, you're criticizing the things that have already been created. So just keep that funny up for an hour, Mike. I'll try. I'm not sure how funny it is, so that's what I worry about. Anyway, when you're editing, you can't create. You can't criticize and create at the same time. They're opposing forces. They're both necessary in the making of music. So in my training and in everything that I teach, it's a lot about separating the creator from the editor. Okay, so we edit outside of the studio. In other words, that means listening to what we've done and deciding what we're going to do outside of the studio. And then we go into the studio and we do it. Yeah. And it might not work, but that's okay. We kind of use the splurge. We use the splurge process through the process, later on in the process as well, to just do the things that our editor outside of the process has decided to do. Okay. And it makes an enormous difference when you do this. Okay. So, the rule of thumb is, in the studio, when you're working, don't be in editor mode, okay? And when you're out of the studio listening to what you have done, this is why we're doing the audio files as well, not keeping the audio file. We're exporting the audio files. Out of the studio, you are listening to what you've done in the studio and making enough kind of decisions out of the studio so that you don't have to make them inside the studio. Okay? So that's what I was going to do, wasn't it? I was going to record. So let's go. Okay. Okay. So Rich says, has a very good point. I've been in bands or collaborations most of my life. and took for granted the built-in creator-editor dynamic inherent to these situations. Again, you're making me think of the Nine Inch Nails Trent Reznor Song Exploder for podcast, where he talks about the creator and the editor as well. And it was brilliant because it was funny. I was doing a big update of my program, The Leap. And I was driving around in my car and I was listening to that podcast episode, and I'd not heard it before. And I'd just done a video. And in fact, I just made a, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it was some kind of exercise I'd done in order to display. And then here was this kind of legendary saying exactly what I'd just been saying, and I had no idea that he kind of thought about it in a similar way. I was like, oh my God, it's brilliant. So I got all excited then. But yeah, so here Rich is saying, I find working solo is a very different beast. Yes, Rich. But here is where we can look at how so you've noticed this dynamic between creator and editor, and somebody, when you're in a collaboration, somebody can be the creator and somebody can be the editor, right? Now, think about what that means for what you can and can't do, what the optimal things are that you can do in the creative process. So often I see people who are solo producers modeling what they're trying to do on what a band can do. And I can't remember the name of the band, really massive, like drum and bass band who recently split up. What are they called? Like massively, like really kind of, people look up, the drum and bass community look up to them like that. Oh, anyway, I can't remember who they're called. But another example is like Glitch Mob. Yeah. It's like people look at what they do and then they try and do that same thing as solo producers, forgetting that one of the reasons they can work like that is because there are multiple people. We are not the same. We have to do things slightly differently, but what we can do is look at, what is actually the benefit of being in a band, and how can we do something similar? What rules do we have to put in place for our own solo creative processes so we can get those benefits and even do some things that for instance, bands or collaborations can't do? So the example of not editing in the creative process is what I'm talking about. Well, I'm like, if I need to be the creator when I'm the creator, and I need to be the editor when I'm the editor, how can I help people separate those two things is where a lot of my stuff has come from. Yeah, keep that separate as if you are two people. I know you're not two people, but as if you are two people. Okay, and this is another place where the splurges come from, because you're just being the creator. This is where the zero focus on qualities come from. You're just being the creator. You're not editing, and it's a training in just being the editor, separating those two people, being more like a collaboration. Does that make sense? Hello, David. Okay. Hang on a minute. It's okay. It's weird. What's going on there? Did I do something? Okay, problem happening here, and I don't know why that's gone out of time. Very strange. Okay, it's going to be a bit of a boring section now while I try and figure out what went wrong there. And let me just undo this. Undo everything that I've done. Oh, no, don't undo that. Oh, this is very dull. Dodo, I'm unclear on your question. Right, you're saying, please can you help me with an example of this for strong songwriters? What's this? Would that be like, for example, writing lyrics like "There's no tomorrow" for a certain amount of time, or strumming the guitar just to give it a go and see what happens, or even trying to sort out music and lyrics together then record it? When you say this, what do you mean? What's this? I've talked about a lot of things today, and I'm doing a fair few things. So if you could give me some clarity. Hello, Quambo. Okay. That's very strange. Maybe I've accidentally sorted out the delay problem. That's okay, Dodo. Yeah, so can you give me an example of what you're talking about? You know, maybe try and ask the question in multiple comments. I'm more than happy to help you for songwriters. Lots and lots and lots of songwriters do splurging very, very effectively. I've had multiple songwriters in my mastermind, so this isn't just for music producer, you know, like this type of music producer. Right. Drums. Gerald asked me to do some drum things. This means the splurge method, the 4 rules. Okay, so what is it that is the 4 rules? Okay, so what is it? You're writing a song, 0 focus on quality. You're writing a song, go as fast as you can. You're writing a song, record every result. You're writing a song, don't listen until the end of the challenge. The actual rule is actually don't listen for 7 days, although you can make it 3, but you know, once you've started splurging all the time, 7 is fine. Okay, but you know, for the splurge challenge, don't listen for 7 days. So what rule of those doesn't make sense for songwriters? 0 focus on quality, go as fast as you can, record every splurge, don't listen for X amount of time. Answer me that, Dodo. Where's the confusion there? And I'm asking. I might sound like I'm going, where's the confusion? Well, I actually want to know where the confusion is there so that I can help you. Right. Next preset. Oh no. 808. Yes, Gerald, you have been overcomplicating something very simple. That is generally what we do. It's usually what I've found is it's 2 things actually, I think, overcomplicating things. Dodo saying okay. Honestly, Dodo, if you have any questions, please ask them. This is your opportunity to get this cleared up in your head, and I want to help you. Yeah. It's a Zen thing. Well, I don't know about that. But I've read a few books on Zen, but I definitely wouldn't call myself. Craig's saying we try to shortcut the process. Oh God, no, that's not what I would. That's not how I would describe it in the slightest. I would say maybe, I don't know, depends what you mean. Anyway, I'm going to start getting stop commenting all the comments, but I'm going to come back to overcomplicating something very simple. Right. So, number 1, we overcomplicate because we think that complex equals better. I think this has largely been trained into us at school. Right. And, and on a similar note, we think that if, it's kind of like a cover for our insecurity, and everybody feels insecurity, and we think if we make it more clever, more complicated, then it kind of makes it better. And the reason we do that is because we're insecure. We're not confident about like simple ideas. Yeah. The other reason we overcomplicate things is it's a subtle, or maybe not so subtle, procrastination tool. Because if we try and do something really hard, really, really hard, really, really complicated, then we know, our unconscious knows that it's going to be a long time before we're ready to present it to other people. Can you see how that is a comfort-producing activity? Yeah. So one of the reasons that we're doing the splurge, another reason, there are so many different reasons for doing it. Another reason we're doing the splurge is because I'm stripping you naked. In a musical sense. No other sense. So I'm stripping you bare to who you actually are now and forcing you to look into your own face and say, I am okay. What I am is good. Yeah? And where I am not good, I can improve. I don't know why I keep banging this table with my finger this time. I'm obviously in that kind of a mood. Ow. Anyway, so yeah, come on. You're okay. You are where you are. You are who you are. Accept, because acceptance, truth, honesty, transparency, authenticity, that is the first step to doing something else. Yeah? One of my mentors, a guy called Dan Sullivan, he doesn't know he's my mentor, but he is. He's not the hockey player, is it? Not him. Anyway, a guy called Dan Sullivan, he says the first step to any change is honesty. Okay? And what honesty means is accepting, in this case, accepting who you already are, with all your flaws, with all of your strengths, with all of your weaknesses. Yeah? And being okay with that. Because you know that you can improve where you want to improve, where you need to improve, yeah, and not covering it all up with all of this stuff that you buy and you try to do, and you try, complexifying everything. So, yes, Craig, you say I'm passionate. My wife says I'm full of beep. So. Anyway, I'm not sure. Probably a bit of both. So, here we go. No, you're wrong, Morteza. You are wrong. That is a belief that you want to question. Morteza says, not focusing on quality seems easy, but in action, it's hard. No. What is hard is focusing on quality. That's much harder. Look at your own experience. And I think you'll know what I mean. Not focusing on quality is actually the cessation, as they say. The cessation of something that is holding you back. Yeah. And then, by the way, when I say not focusing on quality, for anybody who's coming to this live stream and has no idea what we're doing here, this isn't because I want people to write crap. This is because I want you to make the best quality music you can. But when you're in the crucible of the creative process, one of the things that is going to hold you back more than any other is when you're creating, is this like obsession with quality. Yeah. And it's the tightness. It's the, oh no, my God, I'm not good enough. I'm a terrible person. That means I need to really make this a brilliant. If I don't, then I'm... So what I'm asking you to do is this. You're like this. Is this. Okay, so let's just take those two physical states. So I'm giving you a bodily metaphor now, right? So here is you focusing on quality in the creative process. Here is you not focusing on quality in the creative process. Which is harder? Enough said. Boom! Mic drop moment. Unfortunately, I can't because it's attached to my ear right now. Exactly, Richard. Yeah, brilliant. Look at how children create. I mean, I love my children for very many reasons. Obviously, one would hope. But one of the reasons that I love being a parent is because of what they've taught me about creativity. It's just such an honor and a pleasure to watch these beings who don't know any better do what they automatically do. Yeah, and like what I've seen them go to school. Yeah, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox about schooling, right? I've seen them go to school, and I've seen this life getting sucked out. I'm getting a bit choked up now. I've seen this life sucked out of them. And I'm not anti-teachers. I'm not anti-learning. I'm not, because I think that all of the teachers that I've ever met, nearly all of them anyway, who've taught my children, they've been absolutely wonderful people, and they're doing it for all the right reasons. But for me, they're in a system that it is focused on compliance, not creativity. I mean, one of the best examples was when one of my sons had an art class, and he showed me the art, and literally it was all of the class did the same picture. And I said to the teacher, I said, "Is this art, or what is this?" Because what the system does is it focuses on teaching you to comply, not teaching you to create. Of course, there needs to be some point at which we understand what our responsibilities are in society. And I said I wasn't going to get on my soapbox, and here I'm getting on my soapbox. What our responsibilities are in society, and how we need to get on with each other. Yeah, but mass education in that sense, I think, is a very, very dangerous thing. And I think if you are finding it hard to not focus on quality, I think it's not your fault. I think it's come from the system that we have all grown up in. Yeah, and this is a process of unpicking a lot of that. Okay, so yeah, we actually went and looked at a Steiner school in down the road from here. I just found it a bit too. There's a bit too much religiosity for me. I've got nothing against religion, but just for my personal taste, I found it a little bit. But yeah, no, I do know about Steiner and Montessori. We looked at Montessori too, but again, Montessori is very, very. I mean, not what they do, but the system is very. It's a very particular thing, and I think people are so different, and children are so different. I mean, we've got 4 little boys, and they're from the same parents, two of them were born in the same, lived in the same house, yeah, and they're also very different. And I'm in the very, very. So there you go. By the way, I've just picked a random preset. Okay, so I'm just going to use that. So yeah, I'm in a very fortunate situation to be able to homeschool them. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, so Morteza says, I need so I'm month 7 in the mission program, made almost 150 splurges, and I think I need more time to achieve freedom. So I think the problem there is thinking that you need to achieve freedom. I don't achieve freedom. It's this achievement thing going on. It's literally stopping many of the things you think you need to do. Okay. So I've got this sound now, which I just randomly chose. So I'm going to find a way of doing it. Now, I wouldn't have usually, again, chosen this sound in this situation. So once again, preset splurging it. Also, by the way, Morteza, if you've done 7 months worth of splurging and you have done 150 splurges, there's one thing that I would ask you to do, which would really, really help. Go faster. Yeah, speed isn't something that, and this comes in day 9 and 10, yeah? We're really going to push the speed button on day 9 and 10 of this program. But what speed does, and I'm not talking about the illicit drug, I'm talking about speed in our process, is it forces you to let go of quality. 150 splurges in 7 months, you're probably not splurging, Morteza. So... Okay. So I remember, what I'm doing now is I remember, so everyone's saying stay healthy and stay safe to Gerald, and I don't know, I think I missed something, so same, Gerald, best wishes, whatever's going on. I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you. I'm not doing that intentionally. I just got on my soapbox about schooling, so yeah. Okay, so it starts on a G and it's every 2 bars. All right, so what I'm thinking is, again, is I've got that little motif going there in that part, and I'm going to see if I can echo it, because just then, let me just give you what happened mentally for me as I was doing that. So I chose a sound here randomly while I was, in fact I might turn that off there, while I was like banging on about schooling. And I chose a sound randomly, so I went with the first sound that I chose, and then when I played it, I was like, oh, I wouldn't have picked a sound like that in this situation usually, but this is the rule of this particular splurge. No, please don't. You don't have to shut up, Gerald, at all. You're more than welcome to say whatever you need to say. I'm just saying that if I've missed something and that you said something earlier, I apologise. So what did I do? Yes, so I found that sound. I was like, oh, God, I wouldn't use that. So then I tried playing some things over it, and I was like, oh. And then I thought, oh, well, actually, what I could do, because I remembered this, you see that movement there, which could be described as a motif. Yeah. I thought, oh, how about I use that? Yeah. So what I will often do is I will first of all just try something, yeah, and then I will defer to something that's already happened, if you like. I will kind of want to echo that in some way, So there's just a little tip about how to come up with things. Yes, this is a preset splurge, Christoph. Right. Make things really, really hard at mix and do a part that goes literally for like 8 octaves. Let's see what happens there. Okay. Oh, now you're making me curious. Oh, okay, there we go, Gerald. Had a bad breathing attack today. Okay, Gerald, I'm really, really sorry to hear that. Get well, look after yourself. What I would do in that situation is just rest, sleep, drink water. Yeah, but just don't focus on this right now. Focus on getting yourself well. So, okay. Just to let you know, Gerald. So I have, because I'm speaking to a lot of people, relatively speaking, a lot of different people all over the world, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I've been speaking to 4 people who have got COVID, and so far, all of them have either recovered or are on the mend. Yeah. So look after yourself, and we're thinking of you. I'll be thinking of you. Yeah. So Gerald was asking, this was the question that started it. Another pattern when I splurge is that I usually splurge an idea rather than maybe a song. So when you say that, Gerald, what do you mean? An idea rather than a song? What's the distinction there? And I'm not, what is the distinction there in your mind? I'm not saying there isn't a distinction there or anything. There's no judgment. I'm just want to know what you mean. What's the difference? I need to do some gain staging stuff, which I haven't got around to yet. But anyway, turn things down here and then have them up here. But anyway. Right. Right, let's do the old random. Okay, I got you, Gerald. Just give me a sec. Okay, so what I'm going to do this, so I've picked an ARP, and this is definitely not the kind of thing that I would have chosen at all. But what I'm going to do, I'm not going to change the sound, but I'm going to change the rhythm. Okay, and the reason that's okay, you can do a tiny bit of sound editing, yeah, in a preset splurge, but just keep it really, really, really down as much as possible. And then, but when you're using like a generative, so there are two exceptions. When you're using an analog machine without presets, how you simulate the preset splurge is just go yep, and start from there. Yeah, and that will have the same effect, the same effect in terms of training that the preset splurge will have. The other exception to not editing the sound is if you're using some kind of generative thing like an ARP or something, because there you're changing kind of something about the notes, yeah, not so much the sound. But again, keep it to the minimum, yeah. That will work, okay. And I'll get to your question in a second, Gerald. Hang on. Let's just do something. I'm faffing around too much. Going to go for the simple thing. So you can see me struggling here. Yeah, that's what's it's going to be called. Oh, I wish I could copy that. Can I copy that? Oh, because I can see the comment. You won't be able to see what I'm saying, but I can see the comments on the stream. I'm trying to copy it. So, so Gerald's question. Another pattern when I splurge is I usually splurge an idea rather than maybe a song. Is this more procrastination? No, not necessarily. So in terms of, I think the preset splurge, as far as I remember anyway, is where I actually tell you what to do in terms of arranging, yeah? Which is basically, and I haven't told you anything else until now, yeah? So you've not been doing anything wrong. But basically what I tell you in terms of arrangement is to put the parts in like as you write them along the screen. Now obviously if you're a songwriter this is slightly different, but what you would do is you would arrange it. When I say arrange it, you would play it according to the way you put it in, and then before you actually record it in, you think about, right, so what combinations do I need afterwards? So the first thing, so you can see I've been putting parts on, not just in the same loop, I've been putting parts along like that, yeah? So it's almost like you're creating an arrangement. I wouldn't call it a song though, would you? No, it's just like, it's just a bunch of parts on a screen. So now I've got all of these parts up, and actually I really want to put something else in here, and what I'm going to do, because I really want to put some kind of a pad, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm still going to use the preset rule, but I'm going to select a what's the word? A bank of pads. So here you can see 351 pads, and I'm going to randomly select one. Okay, and when you're doing the preset splurge, if at this point when you've done the hardcore preset where you're just going with the first point and you think I really want a bass sound now, yeah, then this is something you can do, but still use the preset rule. Okay, so there you go. I've just accidentally selected that. I've got no idea what kind of pad it is. So yeah, so in the preset splurge, and this isn't part of the preset splurge, it's just something I've added to it. I think it was the preset splurge where I added this. Basically, you are arranging as you go, yeah, and I'll give you the last step in a second. Okay, so don't worry, Gerald, you're not doing anything wrong. Right, please, gods of music making, let this be a great pad sound. So, obviously I'm not being a very good boy. Alright, now we're really going into... So let's see what's going on with this pad. This is one of those really out of... Yeah, so this is a pad sound that's in a mode, so it's got multiple notes playing, which aren't major, right? So I'm going to go with it, don't worry. I'm going to have to. That's the rule, you know? So which aren't major, which is clashing with everything. So let's see. This is a really good example, because now you're going to see me using the muscle that you have to use. Okay. So it seems that B works for a certain Okay. Let's just listen to these two Okay, it's okay. It's alright. I thought... So it's just in a different key for some reason, so it's okay. I thought I was going to have to, like, play... So, what I just did there, because... let me just go through the thought process. What I thought was that the subsequent notes, the sort of harmonics... the harmonics that this pad had... Yeah, occurred. Yeah, which were clashing, only occurred when you held the note down. Yeah. So my kind of solution, yeah, if I have to use the sound, was just to use short notes. Yeah. And do that kind of a part. Yeah, like almost like some kind of I don't know, gamelan-y type thing. Yeah, but what I've subsequently discovered is that for some reason it's in a. If I play it in B major, then I should be okay, theoretically. Yeah, so. In here. Do you know what? I'm going to persevere with this because I really want to. Cheers, Gerald. Take care. All right. Look after yourself. Be kind to yourself. Don't stress about the splurge. That's the last thing you want to be stressing about. Okay. Just, focus on what you can do. Take it easy. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow, no doubt. So, I'm going to go again. I'm not going to give up on this pad sound I'm looking for.
Oh, Smike Monday, why did you do this to me? How dare you? Why are you telling me to go with the first preset? It's really annoying.
I'm not going to go with that one because I know what that one was, so that's cheating. Okay. So, close eyes. Select. Caught you crying. Hopefully the computer doesn't have a wibble at this because I've got quite a few divas playing. So what I might do actually is I might turn down here. In diva you can turn it down the juice, the accuracy, so I'm not changing the sound here. That will take less processing power. Okay, so the only reason I'm doing that is because I don't want it to start having a wibble on me. I'm going to do that here. I'll just leave it there, see if that's okay. Alright, I can use that. Okay. Okay, so just wanted to say there. So I was playing up here, yeah, and I went down here, yeah. And the reason was because I was like, hang on a minute, there's loads of stuff going on around there, yeah. So I decided to play that same thing. I've just got this little melody going around in my head, which is why I wanted to find a pad sound like that. And it's not quite working as I would wish, because it's still, this pad sound has still got a bit of, which is making it a bit, but this is the rules of the game. So let's just play. No, I don't smoke Malteser. I did. Put on anymore. Okay. So here with this one again, what I had in my head, yeah, was like you know, the pad sounds that I'm very like that I'm always using, those kind of Vangelis, you know, Blade Runner type pad sounds. I was kind of had in my head one of those, doing a wah, 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 you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that was what I was kind of obsessing about in my head, and this is what happened first. Yeah. And I did my best to use it in whatever way I used it. Yeah. So this is what came out of that. Now, I may well, let's say I take this forward in the future, and I don't know this because I'm not judging it right now, but this could well form, you know, in fact, let's do that. Let's actually do that. How about that? So this could well form a little like another section, yeah? And if I hadn't have gone with it could form another section, or I could choose to actually use that as another little motif. Yeah, and bearing in mind the motif comes from the initial, because if you like, what the motif is just the yeah, is that which is coming from, it's that kind of movement, if you like. So just listen to that, was it? That's it. Yeah, that's the movement. That's the motif. Yeah. So because I was looking for a pad sound, I found this instead, which I was like, oh no, how am I going to use it? Yeah, but I wrote this. Out of that, I discovered this out of that. Now, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not judging it. It's just I did discover something different that I would not have done had I not done it in a preset way. And none of this is to say you always have to. Why is this not cycling around that? Very annoying. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, so can you hear that's the same movement? Yeah, but on a different note. Yeah. Now that may well be something that sparks an idea in the future. I could use that sound, or I could use another sound, or it could become an entirely new section. Yeah. So can you see here? What am I doing with this? I'm turning this down to just draft because I think it's taking a lot of juice. Yeah. So. Yeah, look how much CPU that's taken, just that sound. Let's just turn that off. Is that better? Weird. Anyway, so there is possibly an opportunity for an idea in the future, and I don't have to have it on that sound later, but it came out of the preset splurge. Now, and what that led to is me thinking of having this idea for this melody, little motif, which again is related to that same motif. Now, it's not very related to the motif, yeah, but can you hear that? It's just this, it's very, very simple. I wish I had a piano so that I could just play it so it was more clear. So that's the... I've forgotten what it was. So if we say, right, that the motif is a 3-note motif, yeah, I'm just doing a bit of composition stuff here, right? So a 3-note motif, which is, yeah, so a variation of that motif could be, yeah, or it could be, or this. Yeah, but you can make more variations of that motif which are kind of further away from it. Yeah, so another example might be. Now, what's interesting with these variations is that the further you push them, the less people will recognize that it is actually coming from the same motif. But there is a relationship here. If you look at the shape, for instance, shape is important. The shape of that, yeah, and it's on different notes, yeah. Yeah, it's actually quite similar to the shape of that. Oh, sorry, don't forget, ignore that note, this. It's just that this one is higher than that, yeah. So it's got a similarity there, okay. So in a sense, although it's arguable, this is a motivic variation of that, yeah, which is kind of tying it together. Now, whether any of this means that this is any good is another matter, but essentially, and of course, this is definitely a motivic variation, clearly a motivic variation of that. Yeah, you can see it. Oh, no, not one. There, yeah. Does that make sense? So this led to that, yeah. And I only did that because of the preset splurge, which then led me on to thinking of this part here. Now, I had in my head the idea that this was going to be one of those like Vangelis type pads, and I was going to do something around that, and it didn't end up working like that because it kind of got a real out of tuneness to it, yeah, and it's just really out of tune, yeah. It kind of goes out of tune, which can be good in certain situations, but not so much in this, yeah. So what I had to do was play much shorter notes, yeah, which may well be a good thing, but I never would have played those shorter notes had I not had to, yeah. So I was making what I was presented with work, which then puts you in another new place to discover other things. It's not, I didn't look for the sound. So this is the question that you're asking in the preset splurge, isn't how do I find that sound, which I could have done, but I'm not, I'm doing a preset splurge. It's what can I do with this sound? And what that does is it forces you to use your creativity to make it work in some way. Now, obviously, the questions about quality and everything else come into this, but that's absolutely fine. And so I was doing certain things to make it work, which may be good, may be bad, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I am using a particular muscle, a muscle I call discovery, yeah, to move forward. Because what we tend to do, what we've been taught to do, is use this other method, which is also equal. I mean, you heard me using it, which is design, which is I have a design idea in my head. So I have an idea in my head, and then I try and make that come out of the speakers. That is just a starting point. Okay. So what I am going to do now is the final part of the splurge, of the preset splurge, the arrangement thing. So if I was in editing mode right now, I would be editing this sound and trying to make it less out of tune. I'm going to leave it though. Yeah, I'm going to put this here. Now, the rest of this, I'm just going to visually arrange. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that there. And I'm thinking, while I'm visually arranging, what might I like to hear in the future? Now, this is getting quite long, this splurge, but hey, sometimes that happens. It's okay. Don't want to make them all too long, otherwise I'm going to have a massive, massive job to listen to all of them at the end. But every now and again, it's okay. And I think I might put that over the top there like that. And then I'm going to cut that there. Yeah. So I'm thinking, yeah, what variations of, not variations, but combinations might I like to hear in the future? Okay. I'll be honest with you, I probably won't do anything with this in the future at this stage, but we'll see. You never know. It could give me an idea. What should I do? Do that. Okay, and I'm not going to listen to this. I'm just visually doing the ending. And let's just go back to that. There we go. So what was the name of this thing again? We decided on a name together. All right. Here we go. So, oops. No, we don't want to do that. There we go. So this is going to be called Lob. This sounds like a good password, actually. But not anymore, now that it's on YouTube. There we go. I think I've got that right. Christoph, apologies if I haven't. Okay, so I think that's in C, and we're going at 1 and 2. And let's save it first. Great. And let's do an export. So that is going to be it for, actually no, I better keep that down. So that's going to be it for today. I will be back same time tomorrow. Just bear in mind that days, is it days 10 and 11? Yeah, days 10 and 11 are going to be at a different time in my afternoon. So it's 5 a.m. I start these at 5 a.m. in the morning. Days 10 and 11 I'm going to be doing at my 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So just bear that in mind. So if you want to join in the morning, you've got, where are we? We're on day 5. So that means you've got 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 4 days left of this time. Okay. Keep splurging. Up the rate. See if you can push the number that you've been doing, except if you're ill and you're feeling stressed, in which case the what to do there is lower the bar, not increase the bar. I wasn't aware that Gerald was ill when I asked him to up the rate. So the advice, if you like, or the direction there would be to lower the bar. You've got to look after yourself first, otherwise you're not going to be making any music at all. So yeah, until next time, tomorrow, happy splurging, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sanitized, and onwards and upwards.